Down deep under the ground, monsters and deadly traps are waiting to jump out at you. They know it as the labyrinth. Most explorers who dare to walk this hellish land end up falling into one of four groups. First, there are the warriors, the party's frontline tanks built like a brick wall. Next comes the priests, the party's lifeline who keep them safe with holy magic, though this one looks a little nervous as he points out the only path they can take. Next, you need the mages, who are the absolute heart of any good team. One of them sees something wrong coming toward them. The huge rat stares right at them, sending them into a panic, while the warrior whispers that it locked eyes with him and the priest immediately steps in to say, "You go first, I'll watch your back." They begin to argue, neither willing to do the boring work. Right when things were about to get out of hand, a calm voice cut through the noise to ask, "Is it okay if I take over?" Introducing our fourth kind of hero, the guide who knows no fighting. They're totally lost, because a guide is only meant to spot traps or show how to beat a monster. In a real fight, guides are just regular folks, so when one steps forward, the priest hesitates, wondering if he should stop him. She gives the warrior a sharp look, and he quickly denies that he let her go first because he was scared. He was just curious to see how a guide would fight. Alright, kids, here's the map to the warrior ranks, showing that even a very strong guide was just as weak as a beginner. But our guy has his own reasons for doing this. Then he does something crazy by turning off the lantern, leaving the path swallowed in deep darkness. The guide calmly explains his strategy: since the labyrinth rats are nocturnal, bright light only makes them more cautious. If you snuff out the lantern, the labyrinth rat will sprint straight for its prey. The beast rushes at him like a runaway train, far more dangerous than he feared, but he needs it to get just a little closer. And when the shadow is right in his face, he flips the light back to full brightness. A blinding flash of light burns the rat's eyes so badly that it stumbles back, screaming in pain. With the monster blind and confused, he pulls out his knife and charges right at it. He drives the blade right into the rat's neck. He exhaled with one last burst of blood, declaring, "I did it." His party members are completely stunned. The priest shouts that the lantern was a clever tool and calls him an amazing guide, but he just shyly brushes it off by saying it was just a labyrinth rat. Even so, he can't help but think to himself that this is a huge improvement from before. Just then, the priest's face goes pale as you hear a guide step up behind you. But wait, an even bigger rat monster is creeping up behind him, ready to jump on him. He knows he's done for, but a sudden wall of fire erupts and burns the monster to ash, and in that instant, he recognizes the flame. "Why did you jump in all by yourself?" the mage asks. As the hood drops, we see it's Reina, our hero's childhood friend. Years after being torn apart, they finally met again, and he couldn't stop staring in awe at how much stronger she had become. He's still holding a grudge about how he lost the chance to take them all, and while he mutters complaints, Ray just smiles at his wish for a simple thank you. He gives her a lazy wave without even looking up, muttering, yeah, you saved my life. Thanks." Ray just hums, looking a bit let down by his laid-back answer. As he finally sits to rest, she steps up and taps his shoulder, noticing he looks distant and asking if something is on his mind. She admits it's strange to see him as a guide, especially after you said you wanted to be a hero, and she wonders if this change is because of that incident. His face turned dark the moment he heard it, making it clear that he was thinking about that bad incident. He admitted that his childhood dream was to be a hero, but everything changed on that fateful day. His mind flashes back to a childhood moment of pure chaos, where he stood frozen while everyone else screamed and ran for their lives. When monsters attacked his town that day, he finally realized something important about himself. He sprinted out to rescue the people, but he was so weak that he couldn't do anything. That was the moment he knew he'd never be a hero, so he ran from that dream and started guiding others instead. Ray glanced down with a heavy heart, realizing that was truly the reason. But if he truly thinks he's weak, why did he step up to fight that giant rat all by himself? The guide says he has one big goal he must reach. To get stronger, he takes the classic hero's path, and we absolutely love it. Ray just gives him a soft, knowing smile in return. Reina claps her hands to lift the heavy mood and reminds everyone it's time to find the mandrake they were hired to get. You see, adventurers earn their keep by accepting quests, and those fresh-faced beginners often have to stick together to get it done. He decides to gather with the warrior and priest to finish this quickly. But as he starts to walk away, he can't help but look down a dark and scary tunnel. Ray asks if he feels something down there, but he waves it off as just a weird sensation, though you never ignore a feeling like that. To cover more ground, the group broke up into smaller teams to keep searching. The warrior and priest claimed Area C, while the guide and Reina headed toward Area B. Meanwhile, in the hall with pillars in Area C, the warrior and priest keep looking around. The warrior points the way to the other end of the huge hall. He shouts at the priest, who quickly apologizes for not paying attention. The warrior grumbles, wondering if her spaced-out look is because of how the guide did earlier. Then he sees it, a treasure chest. He insists he can't just walk by, and the priest is shocked that he really means to open it. The priest shivers and whispers they should check with the guide first, fearing a monster might be hiding in there. As soon as I hear the guide's name, my warrior temper flares because I don't need his help, I've got this under control, and just watch me. The priest barely whispers about the Manhua quest, but the warrior keeps walking straight toward his prize. Over in Area B, Reina asks the guide what on earth he is doing as he peeks at a handful of dirt. He says you can find mandrakes by smelling the dirt because they have a special scent, and Ray is amazed by his smart way of doing it. Seeing this, Reina gets a pretty clever idea. While the guide watches, she starts to weave her magic right in front of him. A soft blue glow starts to shine from her hand. She says the spell will sharpen his nose just enough to get things moving faster. She refused to stand around doing nothing, and the guide nodded, confident he could find the Manhua right away. With his brand new super sniffer, he catches the smell fast and guides them into a dark cave tangled with thick, twisted roots. And inside, they finally find it, the mandrake they had been searching for. But once Reina picks it up, she sees the guide is still peering deep into the cave, totally focused on what lies ahead. His super strong nose catches a new, stinky smell that gets worse the farther they go. He is sure he has smelled this awful stench before, but he can't quite place where. Meanwhile, Ray tries to break the heavy quiet by asking if he heard about the royal army just wiping out a gang of bandits. Some managed to escape, and now a hero has been tasked with tracking them down. Ray then shares another rumor about a missing merchant who vanished right near this very labyrinth. She lays out a wild idea: what if the bandits killed the merchants and are now hiding in the maze? Suddenly, the guide's hand tightened into a stiff fist. She keeps talking, claiming that such a ruined place would make a perfect hideout, but then she stops when she sees him silent, and suddenly she wonders if maybe he's actually scared. She tries to joke about it, but he shuts her up with a single word: smell. He kept saying the same thing with a scary look on his face while a strange smell began to fill the air. Ray jumps, thinking he means her, but shakes her head in disbelief since she just showered this morning. He turns to her with a deadly serious face and says, "Reina, it smells like a dead body." He says the smell is strongest here, and Reina agrees she can finally smell it, so they follow the stench on with caution. Their feet make a quiet echoing sound as they keep moving through the still rooms. They reach the edge and look down at a scene that makes their blood run cold. Beneath them lies a sewer canal clogged with dozens of rotting bodies floating on the surface. Back in Area C, the warrior at last pried the treasure chest open. The priest, shaking with nerves, urges them to go back and look for the Manhua again. The warrior keeps his back turned to the priest and mutters that he's nearly finished, leaving the priest with a chilling sense of dread settling deep in her stomach as the whole scene feels terribly wrong. Suddenly, a loud crack makes her jump and whip her head around. She stares into the dark doorway, wondering what could have made that noise. She jumps again as the chest finally pops open, and the warrior lets out a sharp yelp. She screams a warning, begging the warrior not to yank it open without first checking for hidden traps. But the warrior just laughs triumphantly. "Huh, I told you to just watch, didn't I?" The panting, sweating warrior jokes that breaking open the chest was easy, but the priest isn't impressed and just tells him to wipe his face first. Just then, the priest steps into a vast, empty room and glances around, wondering if a secret chamber hides somewhere inside this huge space. The warrior ignores the priest's warning and opens the chest to grab the loot, while the priest keeps worrying about the strange noise she heard. Just as the warrior gets excited about his haul, the priest suddenly jumps back in fear. She shouts to his friend, Simon, asking if he heard that noise too. With no answer coming, the priest calls out his name once more. She presses for an answer, asking Simon if he heard anything, but he just stands there, completely frozen. The priest grows worried and reaches out to shake his partner's shoulder, begging him to speak. But the second his hand touches him, Simon goes stiff as a board and crashes hard to the floor. While the guide dashes through the maze with pure panic on his face. After seeing what just happened, he knows they must get together right now because staying apart means certain death. Back in the treasure room, the priest holds the dying warrior close. She frantically realizes a poison dart must have struck Simon, proving that someone is hiding among them. Before she can even understand what's happening, the shadowy man lunges forward and grabs the priest by the face. The priest's eyes flash with terror just before she crashes headfirst into the wall with a brutal thud. A sickening sound rings out as a thug lunges to stab her, but the priest bravely steps in to defend her while she freezes in terror. The bandit sneered, mocking them for arriving right as he was about to leave. He flashed a creepy smile and decided he was going to wipe them all out right here and now. Just as he reaches out for the final hit, another hand suddenly grabs his wrist. Suddenly, the guide bursts onto the scene and dives at the thug to take him down. The bandit can only grunt in pain and surprise as he gets knocked completely off his feet. And with a loud crack, the guide throws him hard against the icy stone floor. So angry, the bandit just clenched his jaw and shouted curses at him. Before he can even think about getting up, the guide is on his back, squeezing him in a tight, desperate chokehold. He fights to hold this giant man while screaming, "Shoot, Ray," and without hesitation, she forms a glowing ball of power in her hand, chants, "Magic bullet," and fires a searing beam of light that strikes the two men dead center, splattering right into the bandit's head. The guide dashes straight to the unconscious priest, and a soft golden light glows from his hand as he tries to heal her. Ray stares in total shock, realizing he can finally use divine power, but only to stop the bleeding, not anything else. Then he sees the truth: both the warrior and the priest are poisoned, so they must get moving right now. But then the fallen bandit starts laughing, which should be impossible. He mocks them, saying his friends are arriving any second and demands they surrender to avoid a painful fate, but Reina shuts him up by bonking him on the head. She thinks the guy is just trying to scare them, but when the guides scan the area and he finds bags of stolen stuff, she realizes this isn't just a cave, it's a bandit hideout, and the danger of more bandits is very real. "Shoot," he curses, finally seeing just how badly they are in trouble. And to make things 1,000 times worse, he can hear voices getting closer, and the panic is finally taking hold. He can't leave his injured friends behind, but what can one small guide possibly do against a whole gang of thieves? The priest weakly calls out, "Guide, please," and that desperate cry breaks something inside him, suddenly drowning him in a painful memory from his past. He still hears his mother's voice from when she covered his eyes as a child to protect him from something terrible. He told him it was hopeless, asking if he forgot the monster attack. He had already lost by walking away from a crying child. Listen closely, Cariel, for her words ring out inside his head. Saving others is a task for the strong, and you simply aren't strong enough. Her last warning still chills him, so just act like you never saw them. Back then, he simply agreed with her, convinced that someone as weak as him could never save anyone. Cariel Reina screams, pulling him back from his dark thoughts. She yells, "Are you okay?" her voice full of real worry, urging you to wake up. He shakes his head to force himself to focus, thinking, now is not the time for this. He apologizes for worrying her, but right now, staying alive is the only thing that matters. He quickly realizes they are in deep trouble, facing tough bandits with two of his team already hurt. Suddenly, a spark of an idea hits him. Wait, the labyrinth. Yes, this could actually work. He faces Rena with a look of total confidence. From now on, listen to me because I know the way out. While the other bandits rush through the dark tunnels, their leader yells for them to move faster. It turns out the hero took their boss down, so now they have to pack up and run. But as they turn the next corner, they freeze in their tracks because Cariel is standing there all by himself. The bandits are completely baffled because this isn't a hero, until one of them notices what's in his hand. Hey, do you see the guy holding our things? He's dangling the small pouch of jewels right in front of them. One of the bandits suddenly explodes with rage, shouting, "Is that punk trying to steal our jewels? Get him!" But the leader holds him back, saying calmly that we are in a hurry and must avoid any pointless fights. He stretches out his hand, offering a deal, "Just give us the goods and we'll let you go." Cariel sees right through the lie, because these aren't just thieves, they're cold-blooded killers. While hiding just out of sight, Reina knows exactly what's coming and her hands begin to glow with magic. Cariel sees his moment and casually throws the bag of jewels right at the bandits. The bandit leader smirks, mocking him for being a quick thinker who gave up so fast. But his smirk twists into a cruel smile as he says, "Too bad our rule is to kill everyone who sees us," and just then, a huge fireball explodes from the side, catching the bandits totally off guard. Cariel squeezes his fist tight, praying that his surprise hit on Reina was all it took. As the smoke fades, one person steps out of the fire, and he is ready to explode with rage. How dare you pull a cheap trick like that? He roars, refusing to let you die easily. Cariel mutters a curse as Plan A crumbles, forcing him to pivot immediately to Plan B. He turns and bolts into the maze without thinking twice, knowing the bandits chasing him will be too tired to catch him after the fight. The captain screams at his soldiers to stay on their toes, warning them that a mage is hiding out there and they need to be ready for anything. As Cariel runs for his life, a dangerous projectile whizzes right past his head, causing him to stumble and shake with fear. He is just about to reach the end of the dark corridor when a huge bully catches up and knocks him in the jaw with a hard punch. He clenched his jaw, pushing through the hurt and whispering to himself to keep going just a bit longer. The leader angrily shoves his own man aside. Move it, or I'll roast this guy myself. Keel realizes he is stuck, so instead of trying to dodge, he crumbles to the floor. But then the leader spots her, and from far away, a huge magic circle begins to form right at her feet. He clenches his jaw, knowing he just left himself open for a split second too long. Ray crashes her hands down onto the floor, sending the spell flying out. The leader is still alive and has been annoying you, so he shouts, "Fine. You want a duel? Let's go," but then he stops because he realizes the attack isn't even aimed at him. The spell hit the ceiling hard and blocked every way out. The bandit leader bursts into laughter, convinced he has finally figured it out. Cariel gave his own life to keep his friends alive. He sneers, "Do not think I cannot break this wall." He snarls that killing me is his top priority, but panting on the ground, I just smirk and say it won't happen, as a quick flashback shows me luring the bandits away or leading them to Section C if the first attack fails. Reina flatly refused the plan, screaming that he was just being used as bait so they could slip away. Cariel calmly reveals that her plan has another crucial piece he never knew about. He wonders if she can flip that old sensory trick around to shut out sound. Back in the present, Carol reaches down and snatches whatever she can from the ground. It's a mandrake, a scary monster known for a scream so loud it can kill. The bandits watch in confusion until one of them finally gets it and shouts that Carol has lost his mind. You see, a Mundura's scream can make you see things that aren't there, make you feel sick, and in the worst cases, even kill you. The bandits panic as they see how deadly this is, so stop him right now. The leader screams so loud it shakes the air, making us wonder if he's trying to take us all down with him, so everyone, cover your ears. Cariel thinks to himself, I'm not listening to this, as a glowing magical rune over his ear blocks all sound. With one last desperate push, he yanked the Mundura straight out of the ground. The beast throws out a scream so terrifying it bounces off the walls of the whole cave. The unprotected bandits take the full blast of the sonic attack and collapse in pure agony. Far away in a bright forest, a mysterious armored figure steps forward with determination. The knight looks around and realizes it must be nearby, thinking he can almost smell it, while the guide seizes his chance to strike with the bandits frozen in shock by the Mundura's scream. The bandit boss is still so dizzy he can't stand straight, but he tries to act tough by bragging that he landed a perfect blow, though he is clearly losing his mind. But when he looks, the guide is suddenly gone. The leader begins to panic and screams at his men to be careful, but it is already too late as a fist suddenly smashes into his jaw. The guide pops back in with some tough battle advice, telling you to take out the mage first since their scream is a magical trap. With the mage out of the way, he instantly rushes the next bandit to end the fight. That poor guy is so scared he's frozen in place, barely able to ask for a break. But there's no mercy here, for the guide unleashes a devastating kick that slams into the bandit's chest, stomps him into the dirt, scans the area, locks eyes on his next target, and then suddenly the huge bandit leader lunges from behind to land a cheap shot tackle. But this guy's reflexes are on another level, twisting his body with incredible speed to barely dodge the attack. The bandit explodes with rage, roaring loudly and slamming a huge fist down on the guide. He throws up his arm to catch that crazy hit, but the force is so huge it actually makes the ground shake right under their feet. The bandit can't believe what he's seeing, but he pulls off a cheap trick by sending his thumb flying across the room. En's blood splashes everywhere as our hero barely dodges the thug's wild swipe to gouge his eye out. The bandit leader flails wildly, but his efforts are completely pointless. The guide holds him trapped in a fierce hold that leaves no room to breathe. With one last cry of pain, the bandit's arm goes limp and the fight is finally won. Sometime later, Cariel and Reina drag their injured friends through a dark tunnel, happy their plan worked but nearly out of magic. She gives a cheeky smirk, acting like the whole plan would have failed without her. He admits she's right, because he wouldn't have even tried it without a mage as skilled as her. He speaks with all his heart, thanking Reina for joining his crazy plan, and she blushes while quietly admitting he was a real hero, which makes the guide's eyes light up with a tiny, true smile. As they near the end of the tunnel, they chat about catching up after this adventure. Reina's face lights up with excitement as she points ahead and tells Cariel that the exit is right there, brimming with stories to share. But the guide isn't celebrating. His danger sense is tingling as he squints at the light, and he knows something is wrong because a massive hulking figure stands silhouetted against the blinding light of the exit. The figure wears a grin so scary it feels like a nightmare come true. Carol's eyes go wide with pure fear as she screams at Reina. We have to dive back into the maze right now. He sees something zooming toward them from the dark at a speed that makes no sense. Just as he pushes Reina aside, she leaps into action, firing a huge burst of magic to stop the attack. The two forces crash together, filling the whole tunnel with a blinding flash of light and power. Cariel hits the ground hard and starts coughing. His entire body screams from the agony, and he wonders if that shot came from a magic stone bullet. With his mind racing, he knows the main bandit boss is after him, so he can only hope his friends are safe. But above all, he's terrified for Reina because she drained her magic to save him, leaving her weak, and he knows he has to rise up to help her. Then, a heavy boot hits his side and sends him flying across the floor. And look who it is, the bandit boss stands there, confused, staring at a guide. The boss just sneers and calls him trash, saying he wants to find the mage so he can kill her quickly. As the bandit turns to walk away, Cariel shouts one last warning in his fading mind, but the world is already plunging into darkness. As he slips away, his heart sinks into despair, whispering, I guess this is it, someone as weak as me can't save anyone. Why does he bother trying to save anyone at all? Is it that he craves praise, or does he simply look up to heroes? Then a voice from his past asks the one thing that matters, do you really need a reason to save people? A memory of his younger self, Reina, stands there to remind him of what he truly wants. You dreamed of becoming a hero to save others, didn't you? Cariel looked down with her spirit broken, wondering if it even mattered anymore. He clutches his head in frustration, knowing he's just a guide who will never measure up to a mage like her. She just waves it away, claiming she only has a tiny bit of talent. But his sadness is so heavy it reaches deep inside his heart. He spent countless hours strengthening his body and learning about monsters, only to find out it was all in vain. He failed to save anyone, proving his mother right all along. Reina challenges him to keep going, but he just shrugs and says, yeah, he's giving up because he can't save anyone anyway. But you already know that's a lie, she says, because you're the kind of person who can't stand by when someone is in trouble, and as he tries to brush it off, he realizes there's no escaping it anymore, so she asks, what makes you think I know that? Reina points her finger straight at you, showing that your actions are the proof. Back in the present, Cariel stands on the cavern floor with wide eyes. He admits that grabbing the bandit's leg was just a split-second instinct. The bandit looks baffled by your persistence and shouts, what on earth are you trying to do? Suddenly, everything clicks for Cariel, and his eyes go wide as Reina's words finally hit home. The bandit boss swings a heavy punch, but Cariel shields himself with his arms, hearing a loud crack as the blow hits. The mighty push throws him backward until he crashes into the cavern wall. The bandit just frowns with annoyance, but I have no time for his grumbling, it is a total pain in the neck. Cariel trips and fights hard just to stay on his feet. The bandit turns his back on him once more, acting like he is too important to notice him. But what he doesn't see is that Cariel has already noticed something. Suddenly, a bright understanding lights up his eyes. At the same time, the bandit leader spots Reina collapsed in a dark corner of the tunnel. He says he must take care of troublesome people like mages, then grabs her by the hair. He gently lowers her back down to the ground. Reina is barely awake, but she whispers the guide's name, Cariel. The bandit smirks, thinking she's begging for his help, so he laughs, no one's coming to save you, before raising his foot to crush her. All right, then I'll send you to the afterlife in one shot, but just as his foot is about to strike, Cariel suddenly pops up and drives his fist straight into the bandit's already hurt wound. The bandit's eyes go wide with shock and pain as he shouts, you crazy fool, before punching Cariel right back and sending him flying, only for the bandit to clutch his side and groan, realizing he's been hit right where it hurts. He is so mad because I was ready to let you rest, but you had to ask for your own death. His threat turns into a crazy laugh, but Cariel gets back up with a faint glow around him, and the bandit yells, you're getting up again, you weed. He finally understands that the only reason to fight is the fight itself, so he stops looking for excuses. He's just going to do it because he feels like it and he's going to save people, end of story. The bandit leader sneers, amazed that a simple guide has any fight in him, yet he isn't impressed and demands to know what a nobody like that could possibly do. He laughs it off, convinced our boy can't possibly turn things around. Cariel knows he's right even though his party is wrecked and Reina is out cold, so he clenches his fist to keep going, and stalling is all that matters for his plan. The hero who has been chasing those bandits must be close. With a sudden burst of speed, Cariel explodes forward and closes the gap in a heartbeat. He gets all pumped up and ready to smash with a huge right hook. The bandit leader's eyes go wide as he quickly prepares his own move. He throws a punch with all his might, thinking he's about to knock the other guy out cold. But our guy was never there to begin with, so that whole thing was just a fake out. The bandit lets out a furious roar as he realizes he's been fooled by your little trickster ways. Cariel knows a quick scratch won't work, and since his knife is broken, he's forced to come up with something clever to get out of this. He looks for a weak spot and goes straight for the bleeding wound. But the thug stops him dead in his tracks. Right when Cariel expects it, he drives an elbow into him and follows up with a sharp knee. Cariel grunted in pain because that hit was a monster. Stumbling backward, he hears the bandit sneer, "You really think one lucky hit was going to win this?" Cariel screams with all his might and struggles to stay on his feet, knowing he cannot fall yet. He charges at the bandit once more. The bandit leader just laughs it off, acting like a total fool. For a moment he was nearly won over, but now he just thinks it's all a total waste of time. On the ground and gasping for air, the guide barely manages to clutch the bandit's leg, his strength nearly gone. As his vision fades and the bandit laughs while looming over him, he still clings to life, praying for a hero to save him, only to be effortlessly lifted up by the throat. "Because of you, everything has changed." He planned to walk away from Kiel by himself, but now he knows that a smart man like him is even scarier than any wizard. With his new plan, he decided to wipe out everyone. Cariel's body is screaming at him to give up, but he just needs to hold on a little longer until the hero gets there. It's simply too much, and his strength has reached its very limit. With his heart heavy with total despair, the bandit leader raises his hand to deliver the final strike. He apologizes to Reina, admitting he only ever wanted to be the kind of hero from his childhood dreams who just shows up to keep everyone safe. Suddenly, a sound made him look up. His eyes flew open to find someone standing right in front of him. The hero has finally shown up. Cariel just stares up in complete amazement, tears filling his eyes. The hero squeezes the bandit's hand with a sickening crunch. The bandit boss jumps back just as the armored hero steps forward. He simply doesn't get it. Why would a hero waste his time stopping a simple bandit instead of fighting the Demon King? The hero speaks with a chill that freezes the air, telling the Demon King who has already fallen that people like you are the real danger. The bandit lets out a weak laugh and tells the hero that his chase ends right there. Funny was thinking the exact same thing, and the hero replies. The bandit charges with his rock, daring you to fall with him, but the hero rises above it all to catch the blow and strike back with a crushing hit. The bandits' eyes turned white with pain and shock because the gap in their strength was just too huge to handle. And just like that, his body slides to the floor, and the silence lasts forever. Now that the fighting is done, the hero looks at the other man and asks if everyone is okay. He notices our boy is in terrible trouble and instantly steps up to help, promising to rush him to the cathedral right away since he's badly hurt. But the guide shakes his head, saying that I'm fine. The others look much worse off than I do. He points to his fallen comrades and insists that you save them before helping him. After saving his friends and finishing his job, Cariel finally falls into the hero's arms. "Oh no," the hero says, looking down at the kid who just threw everything away to save his friends. He lies perfectly still, knocked out by the pain of his wounds. A few days go by, and then Cariel's eyes suddenly jerk open. He is alive, yet when he opens his eyes, he discovers he is wrapped in tight bandages like a mummy. He wonders where he is, standing alone in a tiny church right on the town's edge. As he sits up, he notices something strange because he feels no pain when he should be in agony. A voice breaks the quiet silence. You open your eyes and realize you haven't slept in 3 days. He turns to spot the huge armored hero who had saved their lives in the maze. The hero claims he used his connections to get them help, but the guide stops him with just one worried question: "What about my friends?" As soon as he heard they were safe in the next room, the guide let out a huge sigh of relief. "But the hero isn't finished, because I've been waiting right here for you to wake up, and there's something very important I need to tell you." After a long wait, the armored man finally spoke his name, introducing himself as Ila, the hero who leads the royal army in handling trouble. Akela warns that though the demon king is gone, new dark forces are rising all around us. He rattles off a scary list of new troubles, monsters, a shady secret group, and a hunter who attacks both heroes and monsters. The guide could only manage a weak smile, shaking his head at how wild things have become now that the demon king is gone. Aa's voice drops to a deadly serious note, exactly like a pack of wolves scrambling to fill the hole left by their missing leader. The guide gulps down his fear, growing tense as Aa explains what he discovered inside the labyrinth. Aa cheered his own sharp instincts, realizing that Mundare's clever trick was the secret to taking the whole bandit gang down. The guide breathes a sigh of relief now that they've found everyone, but Aala warns him that the dangers ahead can't be defeated by strength alone. Aala puts out a hand to cut right to the chase. I need a guide with your skills to lead me on my journey. She asks if I'll go with her, and the question hangs there so my boy just stands frozen in silence. He was so stunned he could only ask, "Where are we going?" instead of answering. Keller answers the golem forest, but then the door creaks open and Reyna peeks through. She rushes in before anyone can stop her and makes it clear she isn't going to be left behind. Cariel finally opens her eyes and feels grateful she's safe, but Reyna doesn't even glance his way. Instead, she starts pleading with Ila. She tells Aala straight up that Carol is a disaster waiting to get himself killed if she doesn't watch his back. Then she steps right up to Cariel, wagging her finger as if he's the one in charge, leaving Bro completely baffled. She tries to sell it by saying she can skip school for a bit, noting that every party would be crazy to turn down a powerful mage like her. Her eyes fill with tears, her fist tightens, and she pours all her strength into one last, desperate plea. And just like that, the team is ready, with Reyna and Cariel officially stepping up to join the hero on his quest. As they gaze over the vast canyon toward the golem forest, Cariel realizes this journey is his only real shot at a dream that once seemed out of reach. Now that he travels with this monstrous hero, he is finally driven to grow strong enough to crush the beast from his past. Aa shakes him awake to move on, but Cariel spots the worry on Reyna's face and asks what's wrong. She was beaming with excitement about the golem forest, telling Cariel that golems are adorable, while Cariel just stared at her and reminded her that regular folks think those things are scary. He hits her with a smirk, warning her not to get her hopes up because reality is about to hit her hard. And so, their adventure starts with the group walking along a dangerously shaky path on the side of a huge cliff. After finally finding the cave entrance, Reyna asks where the golems are, only for Cariel to explain that they are just walking toward a quarry and not the cute little ones she imagined. Aa looks so confused that Cariel decides to drop some knowledge about the two kinds of golems. You see, mages usually craft the tiny ones, but these giant spirits form on their own from pure magic stones and grow to be absolutely massive. The entire mine is packed with those stones, so giant golems are everywhere, and suddenly the name, Golem Forest, makes perfect sense to Ila. That question just made Carrie wonder why they really came here. Just when we think we're done, a mysterious stranger in a white mask and hood steps out to complain about being stuck with the dirty work. He spots our crew ahead and immediately gets sketched out, trying to just speed walk right past them. But it's too late, Aa and Reyna have already seen him. Dressed in a white mask and a hood with a bag over their shoulder, they are the targets they seek. The kid looks back, and for just a heartbeat, their eyes lock with his. In that split second, Aa realized they had finally found him. The guy freaks out and runs away right away. He screams in fear while running away, confused by the chase, but he clearly has no idea who he is truly messing with. He has finally reached the edge of a deep, empty drop with nowhere left to run. Aa calmly tells him that it is all over. But the kid just smirks with zero worry, taunting them that things are about to get really bad for them. Cariel gets a bad feeling because the whole situation feels way too familiar, while Kella has no idea what the kid is talking about. Suddenly, the ground shakes and a giant rock monster rises right above them. The huge kid just flashes a massive grin, showing that everything was a trap to draw them right here. Cariel and Reyna freeze in shock at the creature's massive size, while Cariel insists that natural golems only fight back if they are pushed first. So, is it trying to give us a high five? Cariel looks up, completely baffled by the question. That confusion quickly turns to pure terror as he sees Golem's giant hand coming down to crush them. The fist crashes down with terrifying power, and Reyna screams at Cariel, "I thought you said it wouldn't attack." But Aala doesn't even flinch, so he charges straight in without a wasted second. He slams his armored fist into the giant golem's falling arm to halt the deadly blow in its tracks, a move that is pure power. AA screams at Cariel to figure out what's going on, and the kid quickly realizes someone is controlling it from a core inside Golem. The true bosses are watching from far away, stunned to see the giant's arm finally stop moving. The mask leader keeps his cool and tells his goon to use the other arm while wondering who these guys are. But when he glances at his magic screen, he can't believe what he sees. Did that man just knock the giant stone creature out with a single punch? Seeing the danger, he shouts a new command to drop everything else and focus solely on the guy with the arm. Rei throws her head back in sheer terror and screams a warning just as the golem's second giant hand begins to come down. AA knows that taking another hit head-on is a terrible idea, so he needs to come up with a new plan right now. Just as the second arm comes down, Aquila leaps in. He doesn't try to dodge, but instead plants his feet and drives straight forward. And in a legendary display of pure skill, he rockets straight up the giant golem's arm, as if gravity simply forgot him. He is just a blur of motion, climbing this giant rock like it's no big deal. He reaches the top of his jump, kicks off hard enough to shatter the rock beneath him, and flies straight toward the golem's chest. Down below, Cariel and Reina stand frozen, their minds totally shattered by what they are seeing, because this is anything but normal. Even the goldmen who run this place are losing their minds as the boss stares in shock at the impossible while his helper confirms it's actually happening. The underling panics and asks if they should just jump in and fight him right now. But the leader just smirks, telling his panicked underling that Gemancers never have to get their hands dirty. Meanwhile, Aella lands on the giant golem's shoulder and spots the dark hole it was searching for, right inside its chest. The moment he crosses the threshold, two small golems flare to life with glowing cores, and while Cariel urges Reina to stay focused, he can't help but steal a glance back at the hero, whispering, "That's the dream," before Kella steps up to shine. He runs straight at the two smaller, yet still dangerous, golems. He stands his ground without a single twitch. He pulls his sword out without saying a single word. The golems ignite, their hearts blazing with raw power. But it's too late, Aquila is already on the move. He slashes with his wild sword, sending a huge golden blast of power flying out. The guy moves so fast he looks like a flash of light, cutting through the first guardian before it can even blink. And the second one has no chance of winning. AA is already sprinting toward it. Another perfect slash sends its head flying off. Aya lands on the ground with a perfect, scratch-free body. They walked off the field with their heads held high, knowing there wasn't a single mistake that could have hurt their perfect win. The Goldmans are frozen in shock as one of them stammers, unable to believe how easily he took down that towering golem. The leader is scrambling to make a plan while his friend panics, only for that guy to suddenly vanish. Right on cue, but a dark shadow suddenly steps from the doorway behind them, and you're totally caught now, guys. So, you were hiding out in a place just like this, according to Kella. Cariel and Reina are hot on the trail of the hooded grunt. As Keel slips back, he shouts for Rei to tie up the runner, but since she's already busy flying on her broom, he quickly comes up with a clever idea and orders her to climb onto his back. Rei is so stunned by the offer that before she can even reply, Carol jumps in with an even wilder idea. He jumps onto her broom and declares that he'll fly while she steers, leaving Reina staring at him with a look of pure disbelief. Back in the present, the runner thinks he's safe, but he is sadly mistaken. Right then, Cariel swoops down from the sky on his broom like a human missile. He crashes into the guy while they're still falling, and they both tumble hard across the ground. But the runner is far from easy to beat. He pushes Cariel away hard and hits him right on the head with a strong punch. Cariel sidesteps the hit, grabs the guy by his collar, and slams him down hard onto the ground. The guy tries to say he knows nothing, but Cariel punches him to the ground. As he grabs the bag, Rei walks in to ask if that dive was too reckless. Carol chuckles it off, rubbing his sore shoulders and teasing if she threw him off on purpose, while Rei is shocked and flatly denies it. But then Carol sees something that stops her. Rei is hiding his hands behind his back, and his face suddenly looks very serious. He softly lifts her hand to show the ugly burn scar she got from pushing too hard in the labyrinth. Suddenly, a warm golden light bursts from his palm, leaving Rei speechless as she wonders if he's tapping into divine power. He pushes to heal her and begs for forgiveness since he knows he caused her pain, but Rei just blushes and says thank you before their quiet moment ends when they realize their prisoner is awake and listening. The guy groans from the floor, "And I've been awake for a while, you idiots, too busy being all lovey-dovey to notice." Cariel pushes the bag right into the guy's face, screaming for answers, but the guy just acts clueless and claims he knows nothing. Suddenly, a loud crash happens behind him, revealing a battered Kella leaning against the wall in pain. Kella lays out the harsh truth: the Gmancers are trapped behind a locked wall, and if they smash through it, the spellcasters will be dead before they can even speak. He asks Reina if she knows a magic sealing spell, but sadly, she has nothing to use right now. Things seem hopeless until Cariel scans the warehouse and spots a huge sack of flour. And just like that, a bright idea sparked in his mind, and there it was, the flour. He rushes to ask Reina about her wound, proving his guess right that using magic too much makes you super hot. I knew it was true, and with his theory proven, Cariel clenched his fist because this guy had a plan. With a smug grin, Cariel declares that he knows just how to set things up so the Gmancers won't dare to use their magic. While the Gallmancers relax in their cave, believing they've already won and just waiting for their powerful reinforcements, that's when a huge cloud of white powder blasts right in their faces because they are finally here. One thinks the smoke is just a weak trick, but his partner keeps looking closer at the dust. Before his friend can cast a spell, he yells, "Stop. If you use magic, it will explode," and from the cloud's edge, Cariel calmly explains that mixing fine particles with heat creates a boom, and since mana is basically heat, things are about to go boom. He offers them a choice: lay down their weapons or foolishly cast a spell on a giant floating bomb that he doesn't really care if they pick. The lead goldminer realizes he has no way out. He sweats so hard his clothes are soaked, clenches his teeth, and screams the only thing he can: "We surrender." But right as they triumph in one place, heavy footsteps echo through a dark red corridor, signaling that a new threat is on the move. A hulking shadow beast cracks a terrifying grin and growls that it's time to move, while a guy in a tattered robe steps up to face the ominous muscle, looking like serious trouble. "Looks like we're a bit late," says the ragged man as he admits the forest is empty of any sorcerers. But the big guy didn't even blink, he just shrugged and said, "No big deal." From now on, they must always stay 2 steps ahead of their targets, while Cariel finally finds a quiet moment of peace in his carriage with Reina fast asleep on his shoulder, thankful that their last fight didn't get too wild. So, how did everything end without violence? Let's take a step back in time to see what happened just a few hours ago. AA was questioning one of the Gallmancers they had caught. The sorcerer admits he used a cursed object to twist the golem, and Aella quickly asks if holy power can wash away the evil. Just like that, the sorcerer gave the green light, so AA cleaned the golem and sent the bad guys away to the cathedral, and the case was closed. Back in the present day, now that everything is settled, Cariel thinks he can finally take a breather. That peace only lasts about 2 seconds before Rain's eyes fly wide as she hears a man scream, "Stop the carriage," and the wheels screech to a halt while a bellowing voice outside orders them to get out and give up their things. He flashes a nasty grin, warning them to cooperate if they want to live, and sure enough, he's backed up by a whole army of bandits. While the driver panics, Aella stays cool and steps out of the carriage to face them. The bandit boss is totally caught off guard and mutters, "Is that a knight?" before Akella points a finger, drops an ice-cold line, and says, "A knight? How rude. I'm a hero," only for the leader to scoff and play his trump card by shouting, "We have hostages," while revealing a group of terrified children. Cariel begs AKA for a plan, but AKA just tells him to stay calm and not do anything stupid, reminding him, "Look at my friends here." Suddenly, dark tendrils burst from behind a bandit, swallowing him whole while a new figure rises from the shadows. He wears a creepy bird mask with just one glowing eye. The bandit leader frantically shouts a warning to his men, "It's behind you," but his cry comes too late. In the blink of an eye, the masked hero dashes forward, slashing a bandit's throat and spraying blood across the scene. The leader stood frozen in shock, too stunned to say a single word. The newcomer has already moved on to the next guy, who is loudly complaining about his arm. The hurt bandit lets out a fierce roar, screaming, "You scum! We have hostages," he shouts, but the words die in his throat before he can finish, and he falls. The bandit leader screams in terror as the dark hero swallows his entire gang in an instant. When the chaos finally settles, A drops to his knees before the trembling child. He softly reassures her that she is safe now, while Carol steps over the fallen to keep moving and Reina covers her mouth, looking like she might vomit from the stench of blood. He stares at the mess around him and can't stop wondering why these terrible things keep happening. Reina looks pale and rushes back toward the carriage, and while Carol agrees to go with her, she can't help but wonder where Kella has disappeared to. It turns out Aella is just chatting with a mom and her kid, but the other one is missing. A few minutes later, they're all back in the carriage, and a voice apologizes for the late introduction. He steps forward and says his name is Ram, a hero known as Shadow. Sitting back in the carriage, Ram tells Ayala that she turned him into a hero, while Ray steps forward to introduce herself and Cariel. Cariel is thrilled to have already met two heroes, but Reina isn't fangirling. Instead, she's thinking hard and asking the big question of why there are so many heroes. She needs answers right now, so Cariel leans in and tells her that the hero who battles the Demon King isn't a person, but just a special title. The hero chosen by the Holy Sword sits at the very top of the power pyramid, far above the regular heroes who act as superhuman agents for the kingdom. Ram says his heroes earn nicknames from their skills, so he is called Shadow, because he specializes in assassination. She asks about his title, and he reveals he is known as the Pursuer because his senses are wild and his strength is unstoppable. He even talks about others with epic names like the Berserker and the Arbiter, and that just sounds awesome. Rainine looks like this wall of text is giving her a massive headache, but then she nails a perfect summary. The king's elite heroes and the hero wielding the Holy Sword stand as the only ones who can stop the Demon King. The legendary Holy Swords are the most famous ones, aren't they? Cariel is so excited that he wants to meet them all, and Rem smiles, letting him know his wish might just come true soon. Really? Cariel asks with bright, sparkly eyes while Reina stares at him, totally confused as to why his face is turning red. Ray leans in to drop a big secret just as all the heroes are gathering for the sacred mission to find the Holy Sword. Curiel is stunned to see the Holy Sword appear, since he knows it only shows up when a Demon King is born, but Ram quickly tries to cover it up by claiming it was just a joke. AA shoots him a death glare over that slip-up, because this new guy Ram is seriously weird. Ayala interrupts the talk to stop them from worrying about the Demon King. Kiel recalls Ayala's words that the Demon King is dead, so he stops overthinking and focuses on the mission. Just then the carriage comes to a halt, signaling their arrival, and Ray quickly turns to Ayala to ask what fresh trouble they've stumbled into this time. He tells us they've come to this forest to find out why people have been vanishing. This forest never sees the sun, even during the day, which is why Ayala brought Ram, the only one who knows how to handle the eternal dark. AA steps up and says, "Let's head straight to the village that needs our help." As the group ventures deeper into the spooky woods, Reina spots that Cariel has suddenly come to a halt. She calls out to him, asking what's wrong with Cariel and if he's finally coming. Cariel asks from the dark if she truly believes a magical beast is to blame for the disappearances. He points to a strange pattern: every enemy they've fought lately, from bandits to sorcerers, has been human. Ray just waves it off, saying it doesn't matter who the enemy is, then playfully teases him by asking if he's worried he's not useful against humans. She snaps that his plan is the only way to catch the sorcerers, and after Cariel loses the argument, she quietly agrees to speed things up. He trails behind them, puzzled by their worry, and keeps telling himself that no human trouble could possibly reach this deep, dark forest. But as the idea of a magical beast crosses his mind, he suddenly freezes and a tiny spark of doubt takes hold. He brushes the fear aside, muttering to himself that it has to be true, and as the group climbs to a high ridge, they see a silent, spooky village below them, swallowed by darkness. Our group finally reaches the lonely village, but Cariel instantly sees a welcoming party that looks anything but happy. He shows them to the group, who are here, and the mood is very dark. An old man walks up to shake hands with Kella, whose armor is hard and heavy. The elder suggests a break, but Ayala ignores his kindness and pushes everyone to start their search right away. He agrees to round up some witnesses while Reina and Cariel watch, knowing things are about to get rough. With that, the search for answers begins. AA sits down with the first witness, all ready to hear her story. Nora, who works at a diner and had a son, reveals that the word "had" means her boy is now missing. He wants to know how he vanished, and after a long, heavy silence, Nora starts her terrifying story. She remembers it as if it were only 3 days ago when they were walking through the forest together. She squeezed her son John's hand so hard as she feared everyone was disappearing one by one. In a split second, her memory jumps from a happy time with her son to pure, absolute terror. She says one moment he was holding her hand, and the next he was gone like a puff of smoke. AA stands frozen, baffled that he vanished from her view right before her eyes. Nora told them she heard a weird noise, then blacked out, and when she woke up, John was missing, so AA immediately asked about the sound. She called it a monstrous song, a terrifying scream that ripped through the quiet forest. Next up, another witness, and Ray awkwardly asks the man to introduce himself and share what he knows. Mark says the man he saw was part of the group looking for the missing villagers. He found no one, but he told them he actually saw the monster. Wait, what? Rain and Cario lean in, completely shocked by this huge surprise. Mark can't quite put it into words, but he knows two things for certain. The monster had a snake's tail and chicken legs. After listening to both sides, Cario checks his notes and feels he has finally solved the mystery. Cario boldly claims the beast is a basilisk, but Reina quickly silences him, insisting it's a siren. Carol tugs on Rank, urging her to trust the guide, but Reina snaps back that her magic school taught her plenty too. Before things get out of control, Ram steps in to say the name doesn't matter since they're hunting it tomorrow anyway, and though Ray grumbles, he goes along with the plan so the group can finally head home. The following morning brings Reina up feeling terrible, as if a cold is taking hold. Cariel tells him he looks pale, but Rainy just teases him back by asking if he's nervous. His theory about the basilisk is wrong. He shakes his head and says he just didn't sleep well, but deep down he knows something is wrong because this doesn't feel like a normal monster case. Now that they knew exactly what to do, they set out to find the child and take down the monster. Our heroes stepped into the truly spooky woods. AA decides splitting up will let them cover more ground, so he and Ram head right while Cariel and Reina take the left. Cariel sharpens his knife, ready to cut a mark in the maze so they never get lost. Suddenly, Aella smells something metallic and sharp, the faint scent of blood drifting through the air. Ram proposes they head to the lake first, a perfect place to spot a siren. Aella agrees, catching the scent of water, but before they can move, Ram dashes ahead in a blur of speed to scout the way. AA watches him vanish into the shadows, knowing Ram is the perfect scout with his amazing power to walk unseen through the dark. Ram thinks a lake means a siren, so he rushes there, only to find the water completely gone. Back with the other pair, Ray is panting from all the searching while Carol admits they've checked every inch of the ground. Reina wonders where else to look, but Cariel simply points up. He points up at the thick, tangled branches that block out the sky, then spots huge claw marks on a tree trunk, proving his theory about the basilisk might be right after all. Ray asks who will climb up to check, looks at Cariel and then at herself, and realizes it's her job. She sighs and hops onto her broom, soaring up into the dark canopy. Cariel shouts that she's okay to the voice below, but she knows deep down that climbing up there is actually pretty terrifying. As she climbs through the branches, she sees a big dark hole in the tree above, and you just know she has to take a look. She draws a deep breath, pulls herself up, and vanishes into the dark. Inside, she stumbles upon a massive, hollow nest or den that seems perfectly empty, leaving her to wonder what she just missed that could hide such a creepy face. She looks into the dark shadows looking for a monster, but she slowly notices something isn't right. Since there's no monster here, she drops down through the opening. Her face grows serious, and on the count of 3, she dives down. She steadies her trembling hands and starts counting down, bracing herself for whatever new terror is about to strike. It was pitch black inside, and after all that excitement, she walked into the den to find nothing there at all, which was a huge letdown. She isn't used to being lost in this heavy, suffocating blackness. A nervous sweat trickles down her face, but the faint moonlight slipping through the branches lets her see it's not totally dark. She carefully shapes a tiny ball of light, bright enough to see by but not so strong to hurt her eyes. As the gentle light pushed the dark shadows away, she started to walk slowly and carefully deeper into the cave. Was her heart always this loud? The noise is so loud it hurts her ears, yet her shaking hands are making her overlook something that is right in front of her. And then a scent strikes her. She shouldn't be getting used to the horrible, familiar smell of death hanging in the air. She gasps, realizing the object has been right there the whole time, and she blames her cold nose for not noticing sooner. Suddenly, a wave of fear washes over her. She knows she has to leave this place right now. She turns to go but her foot hits something hard, freezing her right there. What on earth is glued to her boot? She slowly gets down on her knees to peek closer. Her soft light shows a huge, rotting thing. Her eyes suddenly went wide as she realized exactly who it was. It's a skull, and she screams silently, covering her mouth as if trying to stop the sound from ripping out. Her heart isn't just beating hard anymore, it's trying to smash its way right out of her chest. Scared that something will find her, she curls into a frozen ball and stays that way for a long time. After what felt like forever, she finally took a slow, deep breath to try and steady herself. She tells herself she's finally calm, takes a deep breath, and gets ready to walk away from this nightmare. Then she realizes something truly terrifying, that thudding sound isn't her own heartbeat. Something else happens, and then a pair of huge, staring eyes pops out of the dark right in front of her. She is stuck like a statue, unable to move even a single inch. She doesn't know what she's seeing, but she can't move her feet. Her thoughts are spinning wildly as she wonders if it's just fear or a special ability, so her only plan is to build a shield and run fast. But timing is everything. If she slips up now, it's all over, so when is the perfect moment to run? Alright, it's all or nothing, so she lunges forward to escape, only to be suddenly attacked. Down below, Cariel is so worried he can't stop pacing back and forth. He stares at his bandaged hand, wondering why Ray is taking so long, because it feels like forever has already passed. Yeah, that's a bad sign, so he grabs the others to go up and check on her. Just as he tries to walk away, a huge explosion blasts from the sky above him. AKA and Ram hear the explosion, and AKA immediately tells Ram they have to check on Cariel's group. Cariel stares up at the smoke, stunned and confused about what just happened up there. Out of the thick smoke and dust, Reina tumbles to the ground. Cariel doesn't even pause to think, he just bolts. He must grab her before she hits the ground. He dives in at the very last moment and catches her right in his arms. He opens his mouth to ask if she's okay, but the words vanish when he sees the look on her face. She's covered in blood, her eyes wide with terror as she gasps for air. Cariel is absolutely horrified and can't figure out what on earth happened to her up there. As she fights to speak, he instantly begins casting a healing spell on Cariel the monster. He pulls her in close, whispering for her to just breathe and take her time. After a short rest, Reina tells the story of how she ran into a monster. It seized her and tried to drag her away with its mouth, so she waited for a chance, then blew a huge hole in the ground to escape. AA asks the obvious question, why didn't it just eat her, before Carol reveals the truth, it's a basilisk that traps its prey in an illusion to devour them later. AA urges Cariel to hurry and help them find the missing kid, and Carol jumps in to join, but just as he turns to go, Reina's faint voice calls out his name. She whispers with worried eyes, you have to come back alive, but he glances back with a confident smile and says, yeah, don't worry about it. As the group moves forward, Cariel quietly prepares the team by removing any surprises before the fight even begins. He tells us this basilisk won't turn you to stone, but will trick your mind instead, so the only way to stay safe is to never let your eyes meet its gaze. Guides act as master strategists who study every detail of a monster to ensure their team wins the fight. They know monsters better than anyone and hunt with skill, making them the ideal partners for mighty mages. But let's be honest, when it comes to throwing punches, those guides are actually pretty weak. Aquila gasps in surprise as they finally step out into a bright clearing deep inside the forest. He smells the monster's awful rot getting stronger, which means they're almost there. Ray sniffs the air and knows exactly what he's smelling, a strange mix of chicken and snake that still feels just a little bit wrong. Carol's eyes go wide with terror because that second smell proves they are facing more than just a single monster. Just like adventurers, monsters are sorted into ranks from weak lowlings to scary upper-class beasts. And then there are basilisks, those creepy mix of a snake and a chicken that are known to be truly evil. With their eerie fake eyes and super-fast moves, there's no doubt these creatures are top-of-the-line monsters. He can't believe just how huge it is and how quickly it zoomed right up to him. And just like that, his body goes stiff and he's frozen in place once more. It's the exact same freezing fear he felt back when he first saw a monster as a kid. Just as the monster is about to strike the final blow, Ayala shoves him aside to save the day. He cuts the creature into thin strips, sending a huge splash of blood everywhere. AA checks on Cariel, telling him to hold back while they fight, and though Cariel can only stammer thanks, the battle isn't over as AA suddenly shouts a warning that more enemies are coming. Ram asks Cariel to keep fighting to protect the child, and without a single moment of doubt, Cariel steps right up to do it. He knows his spot, and in a fight like this, he'd only get in the way. Right now, his only job is to look at what's happening and track down that missing kid. Just as another monster dives at Ayala, she screams for Ram to help her out. Ram catches the strike with a deep cut on his shoulder, barely flinches, roars out that this is nothing to worry about. Recalling Carol's warning, he quickly looks away to avoid meeting her eyes. Then he punches right into the monster's side, causing it to scream in agony. He unleashes a savage mix of blows, smashing the beast down until it's nothing but a bloody mess. Ram stands over the dead body, trying to catch his breath. But pause, because something feels just a little off. He leaned in to take a closer look at the body and realized it didn't have a snake's tail. He starts to doubt if that really was a basilisk when another one suddenly pops up right behind him. He didn't even pause, spun around, and punched straight through the new monster's chest, totally destroying it. Ram begins to cheer about his one-punch victory, only to watch in horror as the monster's torn flesh suddenly bubbles and begins to stitch itself back together. He stared in total disbelief because he couldn't believe it had the power to regenerate. Sitting on the sidelines, Cariel is losing her mind because it's impossible for a basilisk to heal itself like that. His guide instincts kick in, and he shouts that the only way to kill a thing that grows back is to destroy its heart, so the fully healed monster lets out a furious roar as Aquila charges to finish it off. He pulls his cloak tight over his gauntlet, bracing himself for a massive strike. He slips past like a ghost, closing the gap in just a blink. He ducks just in time to avoid the snapping beak and then whips out his sword in one smooth motion. Kella lunges forward, clamping his hand tight around the beast's neck as he plunges his blade straight into its chest to strike the heart. The creature's beak opens in a last, silent scream of pure agony. With one final, hard push, the monster is totally destroyed. AA stands over the remains, panting hard, knowing that should be the end, yet a strange feeling warns him something isn't right. But then, a cold laugh rings out through the woods, freezing him right in his tracks. Ram dashes over to stand shoulder to shoulder with his partner, both heroes bracing themselves for whatever lies ahead. Cariel's face goes pale because he recognizes that laugh and knows it can't be real. From the dark shadows, a new figure steps into the light. Its huge wings cover its real shape. At last, the true monster reveals herself as a siren who lets out a terrifying shriek. Suddenly, Ayala's world melts away into a hazy blue void, and he is trapped inside a dream. Kella grits his teeth and knows he must break free from this trap. A huge chicken is coming right at us quickly. Meanwhile, Cariel is frozen in place, staring in shock as the siren actually shows up, leaving him wondering how this is even possible. The monster's creepy song floats through the trees, a hypnotic tune that can kill you, and yes, friends, that deadly melody comes from a siren stuck to the back of a chicken. And it works. Cariel's mind starts to fade and his vision blurs as the hypnotic song takes hold. But he isn't ready to give up just yet. He actually smashes his ears and tears his eardrums apart. The pain feels fake, but he pushes the thought away and decides it doesn't matter. He'll save them later, but for now, the mission is what matters most. Meanwhile, Ayala stands frozen in place. A huge basilisk towers above him, its giant, unblinking eye staring straight at its dinner. Right before the blow lands, Cariel crashes in like a freight train, tackling the Kella to the ground and saving them from danger. Cariel doesn't hesitate, he drags the sleepy hero up to his feet. "You alright?" he asks, his voice tight with worry. With the basilisk hissing right behind them, Cariel yanks Aquila back, only to realize Ram is missing and frozen too, so they grab him and sprint away. As they gather again, Ram thanks them for saving his life and checks if Cariel's ears are okay. Yeah, Ayala used her holy power to heal them, leaving the group to face a completely unknown chimera. Kill sees the true danger, the siren's song and the basilisk's illusions working together make a deadly attack that no one can survive. Ayala understands that if this thing grows back, they must shoot for its heart, but she can't find it and isn't sure if there's even just one or maybe two. This is where Keel shines, explaining that a regular basilisk is a snake with a chicken body and a chicken heart. But it's a siren mixed with a basilisk, and suddenly the truth hits, fighting this is just as crazy as the golem they faced before. He clenched his jaw, his mind spinning fast, knowing that if the trick was the same as before, there had to be an answer waiting to be found. He's convinced he's missing something simple right in front of him. While Cariel scrambles for an idea, Ela whispers to Ram to let the guide think while they quietly sort out their battle plan. Ayala draws a quick map on Keel's cloak, revealing their desperate plan to fight through an army of basilisks to reach the siren, a suicide mission where one person must act as bait to draw the heat while the other makes a beeline for their target. Kella checks his sword and sees one last burst of holy power remains, meaning they have only one chance to strike. Ram jumps at the chance to become the bait, giving Ayala one final shot to hit the siren. With their plan in place, they turn to Cariel, where Ayala asks the guide which body is truly real, and Kiel replies with grim certainty that there is no time to wait and he will explain everything on the way. And just like that, they head out, with Ram leading the way, walking calmly right toward the giant horde of monsters. Ram knows his gear isn't exactly heroic, but his skill makes him disappear into the night, becoming one with the shadows. And with that, he bursts into action, charging straight into the swarm of basilisks. He moves so fast he looks like a blur, slipping safely between snapping teeth and slashing claws with amazing skill. One basilisk rushes forward, but Ram blocks its strike with ease and sends it soaring through the air. Ram's punch hits hard enough to tear the monster straight in half. Then, he catches sight of the siren. This is his moment, so he rockets out from the shadows faster than anyone can blink. He crushes every monster chicken in his path. Soaring through the sky, he aims his attack straight for the siren's heart. He's sure it worked, feels the blow land, and thinks it's a direct hit, but then the feeling is wrong. A sudden, crushing weight wakes him up to the terrifying reality. He wasn't fighting the siren, he just walked right into a trap and is now completely surrounded by deadly basilisks. The world twists and warps around him, showing that he has fallen into a far stronger illusion, and this is truly terrible. With all eyes on Ram, Aella steps in. The siren looks back, only to realize it is already too late. AA steps up to deliver the final blow. We flash back to Aella asking, "Guide, which one is the real core?" while Carol stares back grimly with his plan finally clear. As Aella tears the monster apart, Carol shouts, "The basilisk, aim for the basilisk," and with the siren sliced in two, AA is finally freed from his illusion. Just as he's about to get pecked, the monster lets out one final, terrifying scream and then explodes into a messy pile of gore, which is honestly way too much. Carol is deep inside the basilisk's dark lair, trailing a stink so bad it makes his nose bleed, guessing the missing kid must be hiding right near where the monster keeps its food. And yikes, he finds the pantry, only to see a grim pile of half-eaten corpses that is an absolute nightmare. But then, just beyond the terrifying scene, he sees him. The missing kid is unconscious but clearly still alive. Carol knows his time is running out, so he must get the boy out of there right now. But the moment he moves, a huge basilisk lunges out of the shadows right behind him, and the timing couldn't be worse. He stands frozen and caught off guard, but his eyes lock onto the kid just 10 steps away, so close. The basilisk lets out a terrifying screech and suddenly charges forward. Carol grabs himself, mutters, "Here we go," then uses a quick dodge to slip past the snake's head and sprints desperately toward the boy. In one smooth motion, he grabs the kid and tosses him over his shoulder, thinking the job is done. He quickly realizes there's no way he can run away from it. He has to come up with a backup plan quickly. Then he sees the dead basilisk, the monster Aella had stabbed to death. And that sparks a wild, crazy idea in his head. He leaps backward over the fallen body, praying the enemy will chase him instead. See, Carol knew the floor was already broken apart where Kella had smashed it before, so she planned to rely on that weakness. As soon as the giant chicken lands on it, the ground instantly collapses. But his brilliant plan missed one thing: he got pulled into the hole with him, so Carol grips the edge as hard as he can, waiting to see what happens next. The basilisk crashes through the hole and hits the forest floor so hard that the ground shakes. In the final split second, Carol grabs a tree branch with one hand while clutching the kid tightly with the other. He grunts, struggling to pull the child up to safety. He's giving every bit of strength he has left to pull the boy up just a little higher. His fingers are sliding away from his grip. His hold on the boy's clothes is slipping away. And in that instant, he loses his grip and can only watch in horror as the child falls into the darkness. But right when it looked like everything was over, a giant armored hand grabs his wrist and stops him from falling. He lifts his head and sees Ram, which is exactly when he needs him. Ram gently brings them back to reality, asks the guide if he's okay, and with that simple question, the danger is gone, the kid is safe, and the heroes win. Later, back in the village, Reina watches over the sleeping Carol. She beats herself up for not throwing up a shield before he walked away. Outside, Nora, the rescued boy's mom, approaches Ram with a big smile on her face. She beams with happiness and tells him the entire village has thrown a feast to say thank you, insisting he must be there. She spots him hiding in the dark and asks why, but Ram just acts cool and says it's just an old habit. Before she goes, she asks him to take his guide friend with him, and Ram nods to say he'll tell them both. The moment she disappears, Ram lets out a massive sigh of relief and barely hears Ella calling his name. "Ram, are you even listening?" Kella shouts, and Ram apologizes for getting distracted, then asks if she learned anything from the monster's corpse. Ella nods that the results are ready, but she says we need to talk about something else first. He guides Ram into a quiet alley for a private talk to finally make sense of what this means for the future. Ella cuts right to the chase, linking this wild siren basilisk mix-up to the earlier mystery of the poisoned golem cores. He shows that the glue holding the two monsters together is almost the same strange stuff that turned the golems into monsters, and now the mystery gets even deeper. AA puts the pieces together and realizes it is almost certain that the same shady group is behind both attacks. But Aella insists that's not the real issue. What truly matters is the deep connection between the Demon King and the Holy Sword. He explains that whenever a Demon King is about to rise, it's always heralded by a grand prophecy or a major event. And right at that moment, the Holy Sword sees exactly where and when it will arrive, forming an unbreakable bond with its fated rivals. For centuries, this unbreakable rule has kept a 100-year cycle spinning, and you know exactly what happens next. But that rule was broken by a legendary hero named Persian, who killed 2 Demon Kings. Aella spreads out the timeline to show that since the first kill happened 30 years ago and the second only 10, their deadly pattern no longer follows the 100-year cycle. Graham offers his theory, leaving you to wonder if someone broke the rule or if the Demon King showed up again without warning. Aella says that since a second Demon King showed up out of nowhere, the old rules are now useless, because a new one could appear at any moment. Ram is clearly shaken and asks if it's just a guess, but AKA admits it's only a theory with no hard proof yet, even confessing that she doesn't fully understand it herself, though she knows one thing for certain. This mission to reclaim the Holy Sword will be unlike anything they have ever faced before, pushing them to a whole new level. The story moves to the royal palace in Venard, where a solitary figure in robes stands on a high balcony, gazing out over the city. A messenger steps up to him, confirms everything is ready, and urges the hero that they are about to leave. And the man inside turns out to be nothing less than Perkan, the legendary hero. Ram trudged down the hallway with his mind in a tangle, worrying about the Holy Sword, the strange monsters, and what's for dinner. He bumps into Cariel, who is just waking up, and Ram immediately checks to make sure she's okay. Cariel laughs in a funny, embarrassed way, realizing you did all the hard work while he barely helped, but Ram quickly says, "You're right, just kidding, we couldn't have done this without you," and then they all burst out laughing. Now that the ice is broken, Ram takes a deeper breath and asks Cariel to have a quick talk. Carol is cool with it, so Ram suggests they head to a nearby restaurant for a proper chat, because nothing goes with a heavy conversation quite like a good meal. As they wander through the village, Ram tells Carol, their local expert, that he has a question for her. They rush to an outdoor table where Carol leans in with wide eyes, eager to hear what's really on the hero's mind. Ram doesn't waste time, itching to know why they had to kill the basilisk in the forest just to take down the siren, since it's been bothering him. Carol just smiles, admitting that things were too chaotic for a full presentation during the fight. He used his sharp logic to reveal that the basilisk was actually the chimera's true body, pointing out that a siren's gills would be useless in a forest without water. Ram is amazed by its simple brilliance, while Cariel looks like he's just relieved his crazy guess actually worked. Now it is Cariel's turn to speak, bringing up the time they first arrived and bumped into those bandits. He wonders why, while everyone else stepped out to greet the crowd, Ram stayed hidden in the carriage to escape the bright sun. Ram flips the question back on him and asks if Carol remembers how they actually met, sparking a memory of a wild moment where Ram suddenly appeared and took out all those bandits. Ram knows it must have been a shock, and Cariel admits the whole thing was a blur, one moment bandits, the next dead bandits. Ram grows serious and reveals that while people only see his heroic image, the truth is he had to become a hero to save lives, and that meant he was forced to kill monsters. But it wasn't just about fighting monsters, the hard truth was that to save some lives, he had to take others away. The job was easy, he just kept killing until one day, a scary thought hit him: what happens if he takes off the hero's helmet? The truth was plain and terrifying, he was nothing but a killing machine, and that single realization shattered something deep inside him. After that, he was so terrified he never took off his helmet again, hating the way people cheered for a hero he knew he wasn't. In the end, he chose to slip into the shadows and run away from the bright lights. He knows deep down that he isn't the perfect hero everyone thinks he is, but something much darker. He quickly explains that he doesn't hate people, in fact, he cares too much to let them get hurt by his own blood-stained hands. He ends his tale with a jittery chuckle, thanking Cariel for letting him drop all that heavy baggage. Cariel quietly takes it all in, realizing he had only ever dreamed of the cool parts of being a hero, never the heavy price they pay. Even after hearing Ram's dark secrets, he stares him straight in the eye and says his respect for heroes hasn't changed a bit. Kiel believes there is a huge difference between taking a life to end it and taking a life to protect someone. He doesn't deny the shadows, but he insists that what really counts is the fact that Ram still fights through them. Then he shares a deep truth: the brighter the light shines, the darker the shadow becomes. He tells Ram that walking into the deepest darkness is the same as stepping toward a brilliant light. It all comes down to how you choose to look at things, which changes the whole story. Cariol says that if you simply turn your back on the darkness, you'll see the bright light that was creating it, which honestly makes this kid sound like a therapist. He warns Ram not to fall into the dark side, reminding him that saving his life yesterday should mean something. Ram felt deeply touched and thanked him, while Cariol simply said it was an honor to help a true hero. Deep in the shadows, a cloaked figure watches Cariol's strange words before melting away into the darkness. After sharing some heartfelt moments, the group gathers one last time to say goodbye to Ram as he gets ready to leave the village. As the gang waves goodbye, Cariol struggles to keep his tears from falling. A while later, Ram was on his journey when he suddenly felt something was wrong. He feels like he forgot something important, and first he thinks maybe he left the moon behind, but my dude, what? While the village is feeling down because the heroes left their party and gifts behind, a whole celebration with cake was planned and left unfinished. Ram tightens his fist as a memory sparks inside him, reminding him of the very reason he chose to be a hero. It wasn't about being famous, he just wanted to help others just like his brothers did. Suddenly, a terrifying scream shatters the quiet afternoon with perfect timing. He spins around instantly, locking eyes with the scream coming from the trees, and though it might cost him his quest for the holy sword, he knows there's no other choice since a hero is supposed to do exactly this, so he shouts that he's turning back to save whoever is in trouble and dashes off without hesitation. Meanwhile, Aella has slipped into the cathedral to catch the secret part of the prophecy about the holy sword. With a little time on their hands, Cariol and Reyna set out to wander the town and pick up some supplies for their journey. Cariol proposes they go their separate ways for a while, though Rain isn't ready to leave, until a sudden memory of Cariol carrying her while she was unconscious makes her mind freeze in shock. After clearing her throat with a loud cough, she suddenly decides against breaking up. Her face turns bright red as she nervously suggests they stick together, and Reyna can't help but call the moment painfully awkward. Carol has already raced off to a magazine stand where he is asking the vendor if they know anything about heroes. Ree's mind instantly jumps to a strange fantasy where he's asking a hero to marry him, though the idea is anything but weird. Karel, totally unaware of everything, grabs a magazine and flips through the pages like he's got important work to do. He searches for the section on how the holy sword was passed from the hero Percy to his student Asenia, and he thinks it's been a long time since that happened. The article reveals that the sword prophecy actually has two parts. The first part of this classic adventure tells us when the sword will finally show up. In the secret chapter reserved just for heroes, you'll find the sword's location. Once a hero snatches it and returns it to the kingdom, the mission is done and easy. While he browses, the hooded stranger watches him with dark eyes. Meanwhile, Ram wanders deep into the forest and feels something is wrong because there are no monsters anywhere, making the place unnaturally quiet. Realizing he needs to head back, he suddenly freezes in his tracks when something unexpected appears. He grunts in pain and spins around, dazed and clueless about what just knocked him off his feet. Before he can even think about the first blow, a huge beast with razor-sharp teeth roars right in his face, shouting, "I'm not a monster, you know." And that's the end of our recap, so please hit subscribe to help us make more awesome videos, and we'll see you in the next one.